Welcome back, everybody, to our series on Project Search Alumni. We have a very special episode today, so I'm excited to get to talk to our guest. My name is Naveh Eldar, and I'm just here to ask some questions. I am the CEO of ARC Minnesota, and I think I'm here because I'm the world's biggest Project Search fan. So I'm really excited to talk to Tammy. So I am going to I want to introduce you, but I want you to introduce yourself. I think I've decided, I pivoted on the moment. So Tammy, tell us who you are, where you are, because we're interviewing people from all over, and a little bit about your site.
I am in Blount County Schools in Maryville, Tennessee, and I have been the Project Search instructor there for 10 years. I have to correct you, I'm the world's biggest fan. You may be second. Okay. But we've had Project Search in our county for 10 years, and it's been a very successful program. It's been very supported by our administration and staff. So we're in a little rural county, Blount County in Maryville, Tennessee, right outside of Knoxville. Some people may know where Knoxville's at.
Okay.
And
And
we, I'm
and let
sorry,
me make sure I'm getting this right. So Project Search has been there for 10 years and you've been there for 10 years. So have you been the instructor the entire time?
yes, sir.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So we partner with presently with the Hilton Hotels and Blunt Memorial Hospital. We just ended a partnership with the Mets Cafe on Maryville College site because of some changes. They're no longer there, so we've ended that partnership, but we still have a fabulous partnership with Hilton Hotels.
Amazing. Amazing. So I'm going to get this is a spoiler alert. So the reason why we're interviewing Tammy today is because she's retiring after a decade with Project Search. I'm sure your career was longer than that. And she has had absolutely phenomenal outcomes, which we have to talk about. So Tammy's students have a 98% employment rate post Project Search. So 98% get placed into competitive integrated employment after Project Search. And just to put that into perspective before we get into the questions, Ivy League schools have placements rates between 90 and 95% within 6 months of graduation. So you are exceeding Ivy League schools with your placement rate. So it's like it blows my mind. So before we get to all of that, I want to know what brought you into teaching, and then what made you want to go and work with Project Search?
Okay, I worked as a teaching assistant in the county, Blount County, for a few years before I went back and added my degree because I loved working with people with disabilities. And so I went back and added my degree and taught for 15 years in a CDC classroom, which is a comprehensive developmental classroom. Okay. And then got a call from our state coordinators talking about Project Search. And we had done work based learning before, and it just had good results, but this seemed like a more revved up version of transition, okay, where we actually place them in employment and we're able to follow them. So our whole administrative team and was very excited about rolling out Project Search. And so we've had it for 10 years now, and it has just been absolutely phenomenal. The community acceptance, it took a few years for the community to realize that people with disabilities were an untapped resource. You know, they come to work every day. They're happy to be there, happy to be a group with the group, and we've just had good community support. It takes the whole team to make this happen, to be successful in the program.
So I have a lot of history with supported employment as well. And one of the really big, I mean, there's so many misconceptions. One you just named is just that people with disabilities like can't work, so they're not tapped into. So we all are working on that. But another really big one is that rural communities or any community that's not a big metropolitan area is also like this huge challenge, right? But we know
Yeah,
statistically that's not true. And so I want to know like what did you put in place to build those relationships? And can you talk to us on how obviously that's not an accurate assumption?
uh, to build the relationships in the community, we
Mm,
developed a business advisory committee, and they were advocates for us. So they went out and advocated for us in the community, talked to people. Blount County Schools has hired several of my interns. So, as an example to the community, look what we can do using people with disabilities. So we have the Business Advisory Committee, and that was a very good. We've had a resource. We've also had a lot of publicity in our local newspaper and on our local TV channels. They've all been very excited about the program. They are awestruck when they realize about 33% of people with disabilities have jobs, but then Project Search is just such a high percentile of being able to employ students or interns. So we've navigated through that. A lot of it is going out and talking to the employers and just educating them on what we can do. And I've had people say, actually, supervisors, cafeteria supervisors, say to the other employees, well, they can do exactly what we do. Okay,
mhm.
so that's kind of eye-opening. And when one manager says that and then they network that, then it opens doors that have not been opened before.
Right. And I think that partially answers what my next question was going to be, which is, okay, you're going to these employers and you can say the things, right? You can say all the statistics but it's still people are like, I'm not so sure about that. But until you experience it or see it or have a friend or a colleague that's like, listen to me, this is amazing. So how much did you lean on that? Did you have like some employers speak to other employers to give testimonies, or was it just word of mouth?
We did have some employers. Is James Doolin at the Mets Cafe at Marable
Mm,
College was a huge advocate for us, and he would actually call and say, "Tammy, so and so in the community is interested in hiring one of your interns," because he hired several of our
mhm,
interns there to work at the Mets Cafe.
mhm,
So a lot of advocates once they uh, got to know our group, then they would advocate for us in the community. And that was very supportive and really
mhm,
put us in different positions that we hadn't been in before. Matter of fact, I talked about the advertising uh, through the newspaper. Once
mhm.
we were advertised in the newspaper for a few years, Blunt Memorial Hospital, our local hospital, actually called me and said, "We want Project Search here." So that's how
Nice.
that's how we got it. So a lot of it has been word of mouth,
Mhm.
and a lot of it has been advocating for students.
Excellent. And you had mentioned that the school system, which is not part of the internship process, right? They don't have interns, but yet they're hiring a lot of the graduates. How did this happen, and how did you help facilitate that?
We are Blount County Schools. That's where we are a student system. Uh,
Hmm.
so we we would actually the super nutrition supervisor was on our business advisory committee. So we got the nutrition supervisor on board, and when she saw the abilities of our students, then she started hiring them also. And then it kind of spread out to where maintenance has employed several of
Hmm.
our interns. So we do meet at our home base, but we also have the Hilton Hotels is our primary host business. So
Okay.
having Blount County Schools is a huge supporter of our students. And once they start hiring our students, then they realize their ability, not their
Mhm.
dis.
That's right. That's right. So, some of you know, I may have mentioned it before, but I helped establish a Project Search site at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee. So that was my first introduction to Project Search. In the first year, we had, I want to say like 8 departments. And I was concerned about that, right? And Susie said, who's the co-founder, don't worry about it. Year two will be a different story, right? And I think we more than doubled the number of departments because to your point, once people start seeing like how amazing these interns are, they're like, I want one, so it was that's exactly right. I know I mean, we live in a society, and we're seeing it play out in the news now, right? Where there are people who think that individuals with disabilities aren't capable. So I am asking you, because you're going back 10 years now, right? What made you so aspirational and have so much belief in the disability community? Because it's not, I can honestly say, I don't think that that's normal. So what from day one made you so aspirational?
Well, I worked with the school system in a CDC classroom for many years before I went to Project Search, and I saw the ability of a lot of our students, and we would train them
Hmm.
through work-based learning and get them ready. But lots of time the funding and things were not available. And so we would have them ready to work, but then there was no follow through, no transition period. And once my students would go home and stay for a while, they would lose some of their skill level, and sometimes they would lose some of their desire to go to work.
Hmm.
So when Project Search came, it was like the gap closer. Okay, so the work-based learning people in our school system got them ready. They sent them to us, and we did the capstone experience, where they actually came to us. We focused on what they needed to transition to work, the skills they needed, and then we placed them in their jobs and follow them. So it was a little bit disheartening to be in the classroom for 15 years and have all these little students who could go to work, but the program support just wasn't there for them to make that final step and that final push. And so when Project Search came, it was like a ray of sunshine from heaven, okay? Because it was an answer to not just the instructors and the job coaches and the interns and the parents. It was an answer to a roadblock that we had had before.
Hmm.
So it's just so phenomenal. How can you not be excited about that? Okay, I don't know how anybody could not be excited because not only did we get to have them in the classroom, we supported them, we trained them, we send them to Project Search. They do that final thing, and then they're transitioned right into work, and there's no gap. Okay,
Right.
there's no gap for us. So
Wow.
I don't know how you couldn't be excited about that.
I love that. I love that. And what I think another barrier that we look with employment with people with disabilities is self-belief as well. And I think that that feeds into it. It's like when you're in the schools and you're doing and you're feeling confident, and then if you have this long period of not doing anything, I think you start to question like, I don't know, maybe I'm not that good of a worker. So to have this program that like puts you right into work, and now I know there's Project Search interns that have graduated, gone to work, and are ready to retire at this point in time. So it's an amazing, amazing program. Um,
Say too, out of we've had 51 interns and 50 have been employed. Uh, this year was our 10th anniversary. We had quite the celebration. Okay. And some of my interns from that first group have been employed in their original positions for 10 years. Okay.
wow.
Does that not speak volumes of the program and the intern strength and
Yep.
the employment and the backing in the community? that they could go in and have a job. I mean, a lot of mine have seniority at their job site, okay, because they've been there for 10 years. So,
Yeah,
wow.
exactly. Wow. That is amazing. 10 years, and you were reading my mind because I was going to ask you how many students with this high percentage of success rate. I was like, you can probably count on one hand how many students haven't gotten a job. It's one, right? Of all in 10 years, you have one student that wasn't placed, which could have been for personal reasons, and not everybody wants to work and all the things. Do you ever, this is just a Naveh question at this point in time, which can be cut if they want to. Do you ever think about that one student and be like, it could have been 100%?
And she was initially employed,
Hmm.
uh, uh, matter of fact, in two different places, but for personal reasons, just was not able to maintain that employment. So
Got
we,
you.
we didn't make the closure with Voc Rehab on her
Got you.
students. So, some things we can do the very best we can, and then things happen. So,
That's right. That's right. There's personal choice too. I mean, all of us, that's life, right? Like when we're talking about 98%, I mean, let's just be honest here. 98% of no segment of society is employed. I mean, so it's like such an astonishing number that it's really truly hard for me to wrap my brain around. And I wish that I could take clips of this interview and like bring it to legislators and to Department of Education and to, you know what I mean? So we can make
let's go
uh
talk. I'll go
there you
with
go. There we go. There you go. Post retirement career is
Yeah,
calling.
we're not going to
Uh,
print all. I might say something I'm not supposed to.
so let's talk about like it isn't all easy and like we're making it sound like everything was easy and roses and the road was always paved smoothly. Um, what were some of the more difficult challenges that you've had in the past 10 years?
Well, one of the most difficult challenges, well, there's two or three that we had to overcome. We are in a very rural community, so transportation can be, and I know that any project search teacher you talk to or any transition coordinator or voc rehab person is going to say transportation is our main problem. Okay, so we can take them, we can get their jobs, but sometimes we can't get them back and forth to their job. So that would be one of the main issues. Another one is getting students to realize what would be an appropriate job for them and what might just be a hobby. Okay. So I don't know if you see where I'm going with this or not, but sometimes interns will not realize that, yes, that's a fun hobby, but that I cannot support myself doing that. So
Mm,
that's another thing. And I'll just throw this peg into, we use the Dennis McCleary's vocational fit assessment. And so when they do that, that kind of shows them that what their skill levels are and what jobs would be appropriate. So that kind of supports us when we say, I don't know that this is an ideal job for you. Okay, first of all, there's no jobs in our county that entails that. It's out of our range, our transportation range, and things like that. So that's another hurdle we have. The interns we get through our school system are transition students. So, choosing of the students who want to work has not been as difficult as it is like in an adult program where they
mhm.
take people and they really don't know.
Right.
Uh, but I have to say one of the biggest hurdles we have is transportation, and we
Okay.
just don't have it in our county because it's so small. We have Ethra, a rural.
Hmm. Yeah. And that's something you hear across the country, right?
Yeah,
It's like something that we're dealing with here and different places I've worked at. It's always a barrier is transportation, especially even sometimes in metropolitan areas, but especially in rural areas.
yeah.
But you seem to be working around it. Um,
We do. We've had lots of times the families can provide some support because Ethra only runs Monday through Friday. So
mhm.
if they work evenings and weekends and We have talked to interns about cabs and Uber and, getting coworkers to transport. And sometimes if they work in a good place, the coworkers will transport them back and forth or pick them up, which is very ideal.
Hmm.
So we try to work around it, but I just tell you, it can be very difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. And then, so what's the other side of that coin? What is some of the more or most rewarding parts for the over the last 10 years? Or do you have a favorite cohort of students? You don't have to say who they are, but what is the most memorable and rewarding moments for you?
I have interns and they come in and we do mock interviews and we record them and they will do like oral resumes. And some of the most rewarding times is when they first come in and they're talking to you and we're recording them and they're doing an oral resume and they're looking like this. Now you can see it's the top of their head. And until we do take three after several weeks of practicing, to see their smiles and see their faces and teaching another highlight is teaching them to advocate for themselves. Okay, that they're important. What they have to say and what they think and believe is just as important as anybody else. So having them to advocate for themselves. Oh, geez, I couldn't choose a favorite group. They've all been so phenomenal. The best of the best I've had the last 10 years. So every now and then I think, do I really want to retire? And then I wake up and say, oh yeah, Tammy, you need to. Okay. But um, getting their first paychecks are sometimes some of the most rewarding. Seeing people who will stand up and talk and advocate for themselves who would not say a word at the
Hmm.
beginning of
Hmm.
the program, just seeing them come out of their shells and flourish. It's just the whole program is every day is so different, and you never know what's going to happen that day. You just have to kind of hold on and say, okay. But just seeing their independence levels grow, where they're getting up, they're getting their paychecks, they're packing their own lunches, they're washing their own laundry, they have their own checking account, they're riding to school and etc. And they're just so happy. uh, I was packing up some of my stuff in the classroom, getting ready to retire, and I had a little box of stuff. And one of my job coaches said, "Oh, that's Tammy. That's your years of success." And we have a wall with all my interns on it. And I told her, I said, "No, right up there's my success on that wall." So,
Wow.
but I don't know. Every day is just so wonderful. If anybody has a chance to be involved in Project Search, they really need to latch on because um, it's rewarding for the people and for the customers that come in and see these interns working so hard and happy every day. We get
Hmm.
notes on the Mets Cafe board about interns who have that desire to be there and they're just so pleasant. So I think they are culture changers at the work site.
Mm.
They come
Yeah.
in with their smiles and their happiness and their willingness to work and want to be there and have
Hmm.
friends that they can actually change the culture of a work site.
100%. So I was talking to, again, Susie, I'm going to call her out again, Susie Rutkowski, who's a co-founder of Project Search. And I asked when they were developing Project Search if the intent was to change culture, community, employers. And she stated it wasn't. Like they were thinking about the students. And I was like, I don't think that they realized how, like they can change an entire community with this one program, just like you said, which is I just don't know anything else is quite like it. Another thing that I love that you said is how the students evolve as they go through the internships and then into work and then into life, right? We had a young woman who graduated through Project Search, and her family came and literally tears, sobbing, because they said their daughter was unrecognizable in her confidence from when she started to when she ended. And so my message is that we're all developed, right? Like leaders are developed, self-advocates are developed. And so the time and effort just needs to be put in to students with disabilities to think about work, to think about advocating for themselves and to have a voice and strength and they'll grow into it. That's why I use the word aspirational a lot. So I'm sorry I got on a soapbox for a quick moment. You talked about you talked about if it's possible to get involved with Project Search, you should. What would your message be to instructors that are coming into Project Search? What is advice you would give them?
I would say that it's an opportunity to change uh, interns' lives uh, and see the results of the change and change just not interns' lives, but their parents. A lot of interns that I've had, uh, their elementary school teachers will come back and visit our program sometimes and eat lunch with us. And they're amazed by the students and their ability to go from one to another. And as a project search instructor, you have the benefit of getting to see some of where they came from and where they are, and you actually get to be the raw person who sees the end. I said capstone experience a minute ago. You get to see the end result of years and years of training and that's been put in. The elementary teachers may not get the slap on the back and say, "Oh, you did a good job," but as a project search instructor, you get to see the end result, and it creates a satisfaction that there's been mastery of goals. When we write IEPs, lots of times, we don't get mastery of our goals. But once they get to Project Search, you've got your goals set, you know what you're working specifically for, and you can get mastery of those goals. And that just gives a deep satisfaction to what you are doing.
Nice, nice. What and it's beautiful because it's such an impactful position. You had such an impact on these uh, large number of students over the last decade. How do you hope they remember you, or what do you want your legacy to be, so to speak? I imagine when you are heading into retirement, you start reflecting on those things.
I want my interns to remember that we cared. I'm
Mhm.
sorry. You have to cut this part, okay? I want my interns to remember that Blount County Schools and our team cared about where they went and that we cared that they made it. I'm sorry.
No, that's going to be the best part.
I just want to remember that our team and Blount County cared.
Yes. I
We
love.
might make a difference for them. So that's what I want them to remember. And to remember that we were happy and fun and we were their advocates and that we were always on their side.
Yeah. Well, let me say this before we get into like our kind of fun questions of the interview.
Okay.
I just met you. This is my first time ever meeting you, and I know you were concerned about showing emotion, but I am pretty certain that that emotion that you have is one of the reasons why you're so successful. So I want to thank you. You're going to make me emotional. I want to thank you for the lives you've touched and the communities you've changed as well. Um, so let's get into some funner questions. What are your plans for retirement? What are you going to be doing?
Well, I have a 7 and a 9-year-old grandchildren, so I hope to
Okay.
be doing fun things with them. Um, I hope we have a house near a lake in Alabama, and I hope to be fishing down there and holidaying a lot. Uh, I don't know what tomorrow holds. We'll see. But I'm happy to be at the place I am, and I feel satisfied.
Good. That sounds like a great life. Grandkids and a lake house. I mean, that sounds and fishing. That sounds like an amazing retirement, actually. Um, and yeah, I said I was going to that it was going to be fun questions, but that you kind of prompted another question in me. How has Project Search impacted your life? And let me phrase it even more in a more detailed way. Um, a lot of times the work that I do, like working with my kids don't have disabilities, but working with people with disabilities has guided kind of how I parent even. You know what I mean? Like again, like have a voice for yourself. Like those things that we're pushing, it's like I want to make sure that I'm also doing with my kids, so to speak. So how has Project Search touched or changed your life?
It's given me an enormous amount of satisfaction to be able to assist people with disabilities. Yes, like you, that carries over into my family's lives where I want them to advocate uh, for my children and grandchildren. Uh, it changed who Project Search kind of changes who you are
Mhm.
and how you feel. So it's had a huge impact on my life.
Good.
I love Project
Uh,
Search.
so what do you have any to close it out? Do you have any parting words? They could be words of wisdom, it could be a inside joke. Any words to either teachers or employers or students? Any thoughts?
A word of wisdom: set your goal and stick to it. That would be my word of wisdom for my interns and everybody, to set your goal and then work to your goal. And it can be completed. You can be successful.
Well, that's a great message and an absolutely true one. Um, believe me, I wish that everybody could just kind of ingrain that. Tammy, I want to thank you for your career, for the lives you've touched, for the belief that you had. Your success is outstanding, and it is not an accident. It is not a fluke. It is based on what you've learned and who you are and how much you care. So I just want to personally thank you. And thank you for doing the interview.
Thank you for asking me. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I wish everyone well. And if you have the opportunity to be involved in Project Search, please be involved. They will change your life as well. Thank you so much.
I just want to give a plug to Tammy before she goes. Tammy never hesitated. She never said no. Will you be on the national curriculum team? Yes. Will you help us with the new version? Yes. Will you do VocaFit? Yes. Will you talk about VocaFit to other people? Yes. She always said yes. She never said no. She always believed that her interns were capable. Um, and that just came through in this whole interview, didn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and I'm telling you, Susie, you have changed lives. So, but if I can help with Project Search, I'll continue to help with it because you know I love it.
Well, we
So
just might all need to come into Alabama and like check out your lake house and go fishing with you.
the grandkids love it. We call it our fun house. Okay. So we just go down there to have fun. Susie, it has been an absolute pleasure to work with you.
You also.
I love you. I know
I love you too.